Yesterday I played the Chiikawa game and then I also played the Madoka game, and both were incredibly mid. I was more excited for the Chiikawa game than the Madoka game because if you are a longtime viewer, you also know that I'm not a huge fan of Urobochi, the Uro Butcher as they say. I don't like Gaim, and so you can infer that I then also do not care much for Madoka because they are literally the same story. They're quite literally one for one the exact same story, which I find lazy and frustrating. But you like Sweet Pool. You know what? You are right. I did like Sweet Pool. Wait, but I thought that wasn't Urobochi. I thought I had mixed it up or something. Was that Urobochi? Anyway, the Madoka series. The Madoka series is like, it's a whole thing. So I've been a Magical Girl fan for a very long time. And I think the shock factor in series like Madoka is cool. And I like the adult twist on a Magical Girl series, but I do not like Madoka fans claiming that it was the first one to do that. Did it popularize it? Yeah. But for them to, I think a lot of Madoka fans also generally look down on regular Magical Girl series, which I do not really appreciate, and I don't really vibe with that. I think there's a lot of really good Magical Girl series out there that are more adult without, maybe they're not as explicitly grotesque and like bloody, but there's a lot of them that are really adult. For example, of the same time period, I thought Yuki Yuna was really fucking good. No one talked about Yuki Yuna. Yeah, Rayearth is really good. Nanoha is incredibly good. I think I had a really sour taste in my mouth from a lot of the discourse that was happening at the time that really framed Madoka as this, like, I don't know. And maybe I'm just salty because I'm like a Magical Girl fan. I think there's part of that. I also think the writing in Madoka in general has good parts to it, but I also think it has bad parts to it. And I think that people are blinded because it is a visual masterpiece, because Shaft did the animation for it and they did an amazing job. I think Shaft hard fucking carried Madoka, but as like a story in itself, is it good? Like, no. Anyway, that's my weird hot take. I think the writing for Madoka is incredibly lazy. Like, I think everyone freaking out over Mommy and all that stuff was like, I feel like everyone remembers Mommy as a much more significant character than she was. Oh my god, Mommy's like whole thing was like a defining thing in anime. I'm like, you do realize that she really barely had any, and like her reasoning for like all of it was just really bad. I was a huge fan of Sayaka. I thought she was like a fun character, but in general, I thought Madoka was fucking like, she was just so stupid. And I thought Homura, like the explanation of Homura didn't tell Madoka anything because she's tried and she wouldn't listen to her, was a stupid excuse and just frankly not very believable. I thought Madoka turning into a god and then the whole thing about I wish there were no more witches is like so incredibly boring and horrible. And that's what I hated about Gaim too. I think there's like a lot of really cool ideas in there. I'm not saying that it's like all bad. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in there, but I just don't think it's quite to the level of what people make it out to be. I guess that's what my problem is with it. And I think most Madoka fans, if you tell them that, they will lose their fucking minds. And I think that's the thing about Madoka that's hard for me. I think also Madoka is a very short series, right? I just feel like it didn't have as much meat as it could have, and it wasn't written as well as it could have been, in my opinion. I think they had a really cool idea, and I wish they had executed it better, I guess, is my complaint. But you guys know me. I have weird taste about stuff. I don't think that I have good taste or anything, and I don't claim to have better understanding or whatever, and I definitely have an unpopular opinion on most things, so, which usually means I'm wrong. I mean, like, most people who have a popular opinion, it's like, it's popular, and it's a highly thought of opinion for a reason, right? To be the one person that doesn't have that opinion usually means you're the wrong one. If you are not in the majority, usually it means that you're wrong. Not always, but most of the time it does. I don't subscribe to that thought. That's fair. You're allowed to have your own thought, but I do generally think that if things are popular and they're doing well and you're the only person that doesn't like it, usually it's a you problem. Usually. Not always, of course, but... So I recognize that I am one of those people, and that tends to be my line of thought, so...